What my dad has been hiding in the basement for 20 years will shock you. Family secrets exposed. The sound of my father's coughing echoed through the house at 3 a.m., pulling me from restless sleep. At 68, Dad had been battling pneumonia for weeks, and the doctor's latest prognosis wasn't encouraging. As I padded downstairs to check on him, I noticed something that had puzzled me for decades: a sliver of light seeping from beneath the basement door. For 20 years, that basement had been off limits. Just old junk and dangerous electrical work, Dad would say whenever anyone asked. Nothing worth seeing down there. But now, watching him struggle with each breath, I wondered if there were things I needed to know, things that might matter if the worst happened. Dad was asleep in his recliner when I found him. His medication bottles lined up on the side table like tiny soldiers. The basement light was still on. Against every instinct that told me to respect his privacy, I found myself standing at the top of those wooden stairs I hadn't descended since I was 12 years old. The basement I remembered was unfinished, with concrete walls and a single bare bulb. What I found instead took my breath away. The space had been completely transformed into what could only be described as a shrine, but not to any deity. To us. To our family. Every inch of wall space was covered with photographs, newspaper clippings, school projects, report cards, and artwork dating back decades. There were pictures I'd never seen before. Mom laughing at her college graduation, my sister Sarah's first steps, me scoring the winning goal in Little League. But it was more than just photos. There were detailed journals, dozens of them, each labeled with a year. I opened one from 1987, the year I was born, and found pages of my father's careful handwriting documenting every milestone. Michael smiled for the first time today. Margaret cried with joy. I never knew my heart could feel so full. Page after page chronicled not just events, but his feelings, his fears, his overwhelming love for his family. But as I moved deeper into the basement, the mystery deepened. There was a desk covered with what appeared to be architectural plans, letters from various organizations, and financial documents. A corkboard held dozens of rejection letters, all addressed to my father, all politely declining something called the Harrison Foundation. My hands trembling, I picked up a folder labeled The Project, 1987 to 2007. Inside were blueprints for what appeared to be a community center, complete with a library, computer lab, and youth programs. There were cost estimates, funding proposals, and business plans, all meticulously prepared. But what caught my attention was a letter from the City Planning Commission, dated just 3 months ago. Dear Mr. Harrison, it read, we are pleased to inform you that your proposal for the Harrison Community Learning Center has been approved. Construction can begin as soon as funding is secured. We commend your 20-year dedication to this project and your generous donation of the necessary land. Land? What land? I found the answer in another folder. The deed to a 5-acre plot on the east side of town, purchased by my father in 1987, the year I was born. The same plot where I'd often seen him sitting in his truck during my high school years, staring at nothing I could understand. But the real shock came when I found a letter addressed to me, dated just 2 weeks ago. Michael, if you're reading this, it means I'm either gone or too sick to explain this myself. I need you to understand why I've kept this from you and your sister all these years. When you were born, I was terrified, not of being a father. I wanted that more than anything, but of failing you the way I felt my own father had failed me. He was a good man, but he was absent, distracted by work and his own problems. I barely knew him. And when he died, I realized I'd wasted decades waiting for a relationship that never came. I swore I would be different. I would be present for every moment, every milestone, every triumph and heartbreak. But I also wanted to give you and Sarah something more: a legacy, a way to make a difference in the world. The basement became my workshop for two dreams: documenting every precious moment of watching you grow, and planning something that would honor the joy you brought to my life. The community center isn't just a building, son. It's my love letter to the future, funded by every overtime hour I worked, every vacation I didn't take, every luxury I denied myself. You probably wondered why I never seemed to have hobbies, why I never went out with friends, why I spent so many evenings tinkering in the basement. This was my hobby. You were my hobby. planning ways to make the world better for kids like you and Sarah, documenting the miracle of watching you become the man I always hoped you'd be. The Harrison Foundation isn't named after me, it's named after you and Sarah. Harrison was your great grandfather's name, the man I never knew but always wished I had. This center will serve kids from broken homes, kids who need a safe place to learn and grow, kids who need someone to believe in them the way I've always believed in you. I never told you because I didn't want you to feel burdened by expectations or feel like you owed me anything. Your happiness, your success, your good heart, these were gifts enough. But now that I'm facing the possibility of not being here to see it completed, I need you to know. This was never about recognition or legacy. It was about love taking physical form. Every photo on these walls represents a moment when I felt grateful beyond words to be your father. Every journal entry is a love letter to the privilege of watching you grow. Every plan for the community center is my way of saying thank you to a universe that gave me the honor of being dad to you and Sarah. The foundation has enough funding to complete the project. I've spent 20 years preparing for this. Local contractors are ready, the staff is hired, and the programs are designed. All it needs is someone to oversee its completion. Someone who understands that it was built on love, not ego. I hope you can forgive an old man for keeping secrets. I hope you can understand that sometimes love expresses itself through quiet sacrifice rather than grand gestures. And I hope that when you walk through that community center for the first time, you'll know that every brick was laid with gratitude for the joy you brought into my life. Your mother knows about the foundation, but not about the basement archives. I wasn't sure she'd understand my need to document everything, to hold on to each fleeting moment with such intensity. Maybe that's because I lost my own father too young and learned that memory fades, but love preserved in tangible form can last forever. I love you, son. I love the boy who used to fall asleep in my lap during movie nights, and I love the man who still calls me every Sunday just to check in. The greatest achievement of my life wasn't the business I built or the money I saved. It was earning the right to be called your dad. Take care of your sister. Take care of your mother. And if you decide the community center is worth completing, know that it will serve children for generations, each one carrying a piece of the love I felt for my own children. All my love, Dad. P.S. The key to the safety deposit box is taped under the desk drawer. Box 1987 at First National. Everything you need to complete the project is there. I sank into the chair at his desk, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what I discovered. 20 years of secret sacrifice, 2 decades of quiet love expressed through meticulous documentation and ambitious dreams. My father, who I'd sometimes thought was distant or preoccupied, had actually been consumed with loving us so completely that it had become his life's work. I heard footsteps on the stairs and turned to see Dad, wearing his old bathrobe, looking both sheepish and resigned. "I figured you'd find it eventually," he said quietly, "especially with all the coughing keeping everyone awake." "Dad, I don't know what to say." He walked over to one of the photo walls, touching a picture of 5-year-old me missing my front teeth. "Your whole life, I kept thinking I should tell you about this, but then I'd worry you'd feel pressured or think I was trying to buy your love with grand gestures." "Buy my love?" I stood up, still clutching his letter. "Dad, you earned my love every single day. I never needed grand gestures. I just needed you, and you were always there." His eyes filled with tears. "I wanted to be the father I never had. I wanted to give you everything, not just material things, but presence, attention, unconditional support. This basement, this project, it was all just overflow. Love that was too big to contain in everyday moments." We stood there for a long time, surrounded by 20 years of documented devotion, both of us crying and laughing at the absurdity of keeping such beautiful secrets. "The community center," I said finally, "it's really happening?" "If you want it to. The foundation board is ready to proceed, but I wanted family approval first. It seemed wrong to build something in our name without your blessing." 6 months later, I stood in the main hall of the Harrison Community Learning Center, watching dozens of children from the neighborhood explore their new safe haven. Sarah was there with her kids, Mom was helping organize the library, and Dad, his health much improved, was teaching a woodworking class to a group of fascinated teenagers. Above the main entrance, a simple plaque read, dedicated to the belief that love, when properly invested, can build futures. The basement at home remains largely unchanged. We moved the most precious photos upstairs where the whole family could enjoy them, but the journals stay where Dad wrote them, a testament to the quiet intensity of parental love. Sometimes I go down there just to read his entries, to see myself and Sarah through his eyes, to understand that we were never just living our lives. We were creating his greatest masterpiece. The community center serves over 200 children now, offering tutoring, mentorship, arts programs, and a safe place to grow. But its real legacy isn't in the services it provides. It's in the lesson it teaches about love that expresses itself through action, sacrifice that finds joy in giving, and the profound truth that the most meaningful legacies are often built in secret, one day at a time, by people who love so deeply that their whole lives become acts of devotion. Dad never wanted recognition for what he built. He just wanted his love to take form in something that would outlast him, something that would serve children the way he had tried to serve us, with patience, dedication, and unwavering belief in their potential. Every Sunday, when I call him just to check in, I hear the smile in his voice, and I know he succeeded, not just in building a community center, but in raising children who understood that love isn't just a feeling, it's a commitment to making the world better because the people you care about live in it.